Well, here's a story that happened to me. This must be 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I don't even remember time. I go to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Last year and this year, I didn't go. I had extenuating circumstances, but every year I go. On Sukkot, I go, I take a lulav and etrog, and I get on the subway, and I just get off at some arbitrary place. I don't know New York. I grew up in Detroit. So I get off at some arbitrary place, somewhere in Manhattan, wherever, and I stand on a corner and ask people to do lulav and etrog. One time, I got off and there was a big Chabad sukkah. There was a big Chabad sukkah. So everyone, all the Chabad people, they were at the entrance of the sukkah. So I went around to the back of the sukkah, which happened to be facing the exit to the subway. So once every, like, I don't know, 15 minutes or something like that, a whole wave of people would come out from the subway. Wave of people would come out for the subway. The opening was pretty wide. I don't know really where the address of this place, but you could probably figure it out. So I stood there and people came out. Anyone who looked a little bit Jewish. So I asked them, excuse me, are you Jewish, sir? Jewish holiday today, right? And a lot of non-Jews came up to me and asked me, what is that? Well, I said, it's a Jewish holiday today. You know, we've been doing this for 3,000 years. Jews. Anyway, there came out maybe 15 young people, and but then it was a fad. I don't know if it's fad anymore, but I think it was like called rock, punk rock. Maybe they still do it, but they would like shave their sides of their hair, and they would have this big sort of like a rooster in the middle of the what a mohawk, I guess they call it, and they would dye it like different colors, the hair. Some would dye it purple and blue and red, something that's not natural. And they had all these weird tattoos on themselves and studs. That was the main thing. They had piercings on their eyelashes, piercings. That's only where it was revealed. Who knows where they had piercings? You couldn't see, but they had piercings all over the place. And they wore, garments. The garments were like leather, and they had big studs, metal studs on them, and high heel boots and stuff like weird stuff. I mean, why do they do this? Because they're bored out of their minds. They don't know what to do with themselves. So I think the fad has passed. But anyway, these people came out. And they came out, they saw me standing there. Like I say, they're all bored. So they all gravitated toward me and they said, what is this? So I said, are any of you Jewish? No, we're not Jewish. So I said, well, this is a Jewish holiday. We're a Jewish holiday. And the Jewish holiday is called Sukkot. And we take these 4 different types of vegetation and we put them together and we make it so they do, vegetation. They look and they say, organic. It's organic holiday. That's good. Organic is good. So I said, you know what the main thing of this holiday, the holiday is called Sukkot, because we sit in a booth, which is called, in Hebrew, it's called a Succa. You know what the Succa is? And they said no. So I said, well, when the Jews got out of Egypt, you ever heard that story before? They're already sort of, they're all of them have like, almost zero attention span. And so they're looking around and I see that they're sort of, but a couple of them are listening. I said, one of them said, yeah, I heard of that. The Jews went out of Egypt. I heard that story. I said, well, when the Jews left Egypt, this was over 3,300 years ago, that God surrounded them with clouds that protected them. And it protected them in the desert. So I see they're almost about to leave, these people. They're fidgeting already. And I said, but the message for us is, I just made this up. So the message of this is that anyone who tries to do something good is like going out of Egypt. You try to do something good, you have difficulty doing it, that God will help you, will protect you. I saw that they're, just on the verge of leaving, and I said these words. In other words, no one is ever alone. 4 words. In other words, no one is ever alone. As soon as I said those 4 words, I didn't know, I just was talking to them. As soon as I said those 4 words, all of a sudden, all of them, they stopped like moving. And I looked at them and all of them, their eyes sort of like went up to the right or to the left. I don't know, went up. And their shoulders sort of came down. It's like all of a sudden this sort of weird calm came over them for about, 5 seconds or something like that. And one of them, I guess the leader of them, he was the tallest guy. He said, that's a good message. That's a good message. No one is ever alone. And I realized what was going on, was happening. And I said, listen, he shook my hand. And I said to the women, I don't shake hands with women. I'm a religious Jew, but I'll shake hands with the men twice. Haha, and they all that. I said, thank you. And a couple of them even hugged me. They said, that's a good message. So from that, I came to understand, first of all, what I said is true. What I said is true. No one is ever alone. But also, I learned from that in fact, people feel alone. And people feel, how do you say, confused, low, abandoned. They're alone. Nobody cares about them, really. And I'm telling them, no, God cares about you. Look, He's creating you. God is creating you. He's giving you life. He's with you. If He wasn't with you, you wouldn't be alive. Right? So no one, that's maybe we could say, maybe more than anything else, is the message of Sukkot. No one is ever alone. God cares about you, and He embraces you, and He protects you. Have a good day, and that's happy. You feel happy. You're not abandoned. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, Chag Sameach, and we'll meet, God willing, tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock.